go. And what's up, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Another special one today. We've got the guys from MBoards. We've got Mike and James on the stream. So the stream's going to be roughly about an hour long. So please put your questions in the comments below, and we'll try and have as many answered questions as possible. But yeah, we're just going to know a bit more about with MBoards, Mike as a person, James as a person. How do they get to kind of where they're at now? A little bit about the Eastgate's gone, a little bit about history, and just get to know the guys a bit more. So let's bring the guys in.
Hello.
What's up? How's it going?
Here.
Yo, what's up? Thank you so much for joining the stream, guys. Like I said, when I decided recently to start doing more kind of like live streams, and I really wanted you guys to come in, especially with the great success recently. You guys have been smashing it in all fields, so it's really great to get you guys on the live stream. So, do you want to introduce yourself? I will go with Mike first. Introduce yourself. Who are you? You know, people who don't know you, about where you are involved in the PvE community.
Cool. First off, awesome hoodie, looking good, looking fresh on you.
Yeah.
My name's Mike Beard. I own MBoards. We've been like a DIY e-skate company since the end of 2017. So we're on year 6 now, or on to year 7. This September will be 7 years. It's pretty crazy. I got started back when I was in college, built a couple boards, and kind of it's exploded from there. And, you know, we're working hard to make the brand the best it could be. And I brought on a lot of different people along the way, and James is one of them. So, yeah.
And James, want to introduce yourself? Like, who are you? Were you, involved with the PvE community?
Okay, so I'm James Jensen. If you guys don't know me on Instagram, it's Sin City Eastgate. On YouTube, it is Eastgate. It is Eastgate Concentrate. We're probably going to go ahead and change that over to Sin City Eastgate so we can keep everything and make people not confused. I've been e-skating for a couple years. I got lucky enough so that when I got my first board, I found that there was an e-skate in Las Vegas, and I met Jacob buying a couple parts from Board Bumpers, and then one day met Mike at this summer board event, and just kind of showed off a little bit of my skating skills, and then a couple weeks later they were like, "Hey, go to California with us and skate," and just ever since then they literally couldn't get rid of me. And one day it was like, "Hey, since you're here all the time, James, how about you start working a little bit?" And then I left it off, and it's been heaven ever since.
So you said, like James, like you said, with the kind of getting into like the beaver community of your skating and riding. So was you an avid skater before getting into like electric skateboarding and stuff like that?
So I was one of those guys that when I grew up, I was into extreme sports. So I skateboarded, rollerbladed, scootered, dirt bikes, all stuff. Like you could go fast and do something stupid on it. I was all about that. And I ended up breaking a lot of bones, but I was always just kind of one of those kids that just like pushed open and having a lot of fun and kind of seeing what couldn't be done on toys, I guess you could call them. And so when I got a little bit older and I found out that I no longer had to like kick push anything, and I could now just like use a remote, I was in there, dude. I bike, and we sold a car and just got one car, and my transportation literally became e-skate, and I got around everywhere on my electric skateboard, and then got a one wheel too, and through Mike, like just literally I'm now all about the DIY scene. My electric skateboard is pretty much all DIY based. My wheel now has a Vesk in it. It's pretty much all DIY, so it's it's like a blessing and a curse to like have that knowledge and do that, and then have Mike, like your best friend, that knows how to do it all too, because it's just like you just deep dive into this world of all tinkering all the time, and it's nice.
I seem to find that's a big thing with the e-skate kind of element when you start. I know I'm guilty of this, and I think I spoke to you about Mike this when you had your Endeavor, your not Interstellar, board previously, and it was like the DIY kit, and I thought that's such a great opportunity for people who ride or are interested in riding, and that kind of like IKEA do-it-yourself kind of build. So yeah, you said like with James, you said like obviously you've been a DIY element, and like you said, you've been in it from a very, really long time. You've kind of like been there since basically the start. So what made you kind of getting into like the DIY making it yourself kind of element?
So I was in college. I think I was a sophomore in college at the time. and I was going to UNLV. That campus is pretty large, so walking on campus, I would be late to class 9 times out of 10 because I was just not leave early enough, and I would have to walk like a mile to class, and it would just suck. So I'm like, you know what? Let me look into these electric skateboards. These just look pretty cool. At the time, the only real option was boosted boards. Like there was nothing else. It was boosted. Evolve was still early beginnings. I mean, they were around, but they were very expensive, and all the Chinese brands really weren't out yet. So there was the only real option I had was a $1,500 board, and my car at the time was worth $900. And on a good day, it was worth $900. So I'm like, I cannot spend $1,500 on a board when my car's not even worth that. So I'm like, I don't know. So I started doing research, watched a lot of different videos. There really weren't any, but there was a lot of like adjacent videos, like just like RC general videos out there that we could apply to electric skateboarding. Found some articles, and I kind of pieced one together for a third of the price. I spent like $550, $600 on it. It went faster and farther than the original boosted board. So I was like, sick. And that was kind of the start of it. Made a YouTube video about how I built it. It got 500,000 views, and I'm just like, okay, sick. So people actually want to, care about this. So, I started building boards, and from there we just, the boards took a long time to build. So we started selling the parts, and then the business kind of just took off from there.
I think from both of you guys have said that in that situation, it's like James currently predominantly rides everywhere, and then for you, Mike, it was like a need for like your campus, like commuters of that. I seem to find people don't seem to really see the impact of PV riding, and literally like myself, I actually sold my car now, and I just ride everywhere as well, just because it's just the way to go. One thing you're saying about like things in the past, and one thing I've dug up, which I thought was interesting for you, Mike, actually, was actually this, which I don't think is talked about enough, and actually inspired me to do things on my own event, which was the world record attempt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these boards were interesting. I learned a lot during this. I was still a relatively new builder at the time, so like I would have made some different decisions. However, the boards worked, and they did it, so it was pretty cool. It was a very, very basic setup. It was just a channel trucks on actually they started out with a single motor, but they worked. They did hot swappable batteries, so like all the batteries came out, and they would just swap the batteries so they could just ride all day. And we could do this now so much better. Oh yeah, gosh, doing this
giving you an idea back again.
Off put a new battery in. Oh man, we could just do it so much better now. But it was a fun time. It was a fun experience, and we learned a lot for sure.
I think it was amazing. I think this is one of the things where I was like, I'm going to go for that one day. I'm going to take that at some point. And that's why I was going to say, like, with like James, like it's like you, a monster, rider for MBoards, represented amazingly at Eastgate Con, and then just your riding ability is incredible. I was going to say, like, you need to whack James to break the record again, I think, because I think he's.
I think James could do it. If he wanted to, I think he could do it.
If we had the time, the thing about me and Mike is that we have kids now, and so it's like literally if we're not working, we're trying to spend the most time as we can with our kids. That's one thing that me and Mike have in common is our family aspects and like values and morals and like what we want to do with our children, how we want to spend our time, how we want to raise them, and like priority 1 is Eastgate, priority 2 is our.
I feel bad because sometimes this business, because the business never stops. Like people are constantly messaging us. They're constantly sending us emails and chats and all this. And I feel like sometimes even at home, I'm not the most present because my phone's constantly going off. So I'm struggling still with balancing work and family, especially as a new dad. I'm not sure what the hell I'm doing. All I know is I want to keep pushing the business forward and to provide for my family. But at the same time, like, it's just that weird balance. I think we're still trying to figure that out, but I know I definitely could be better at, splitting my time with family and work and all that, but, and learning something new every day.
Yeah,
I was going to say that as well. Go on, Jones.
Family run business. It's like you can walk into the company, dude, and you see husband and wife, and like it's not just regular employees, it's friends. Like Mike doesn't just have regular dudes working for him. Everybody is good at their job, and then they're friends. So it's like, you know, sometimes that can make it a little bit hard for Mike, because Mike doesn't like yelling at us when we mess up, and we're not perfect. It's okay. You know, we all have like figured that out, and it makes a great work environment. It really does. It's nice.
Oh, that's one thing I was going to say. Like, actually, I'm going to back on that in a second. Yeah, you're saying about like family and stuff like that. You guys like are totally absorbed by this community and what you do. You know, like I was seeing with James with your little one. I thought I had it, and I took it back with your little one at Eastgate Con with the little top, and you know, with Rosie and everyone being out. You know what I mean? It's just, I do honestly believe that this community is in chapters at this point, and it's not us who are going to be the ones who are wrecking to the max. It's the next generation.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the interesting bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Both our daughters are all about Eastgate already. I sent pictures to Mike, and my daughter like literally wakes up in the morning, dude, and goes and wakes up on the endurance, bro. Takes her little Mickey Mouse and her goofy toy, bro, and wakes up and sits over there. And it's like, you know, it's just awesome, dude. Rosie, Mike's daughter, is constantly around Eastgate all the time. So like, we get to raise the next generation of Eastgaters, bro, and it's epic. I'm so excited.
There's gonna be a little one's race at some point, isn't there?
Yeah, right.
Dude, watch out for our daughters, man. Probably gonna be racing some crazy endurance setup, and it's we're gonna try to make sure that our daughters give those stooge dudes. Watch out, we're coming for them.
How cool would like a 12 and under age group be?
Yeah,
that'd be so cool. Eastgate Con, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah, we did that actually in one of the events we had in the UK. I think I told you about this. Is what was it called? It's our mountain board event. EBIT, that's the one.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And we did an under like 12, 13s mountain board, right? So imagine like 12, 10, 8-year-olds on trampers. That's what it was like.
That's awesome.
And they couldn't just trying to lift these boards for turning because they don't weigh anything. That's hilarious. It's like,
right.
It's so good. But talking about like different PEVs and whatnot, obviously, James, you ride one wheel as well, and obviously predominantly MBoards is obviously a board company as well. But obviously the curiosity, you know, all that there. Is there any other kind of PEVs that you'd be personally interested, not as a business sense, but like getting experience with? Because here in the UK, one of our guys, Shazad, he promotes PEV Jedi, which is a master of everything, and it's about that kind of adaptation, about trying everything. Is there any other, like, you can name companies or just PEVs would you be interested on, like trying out and mastering?
Well, I've gotten pretty good at riding. The summer board. A real good friend of mine, Stephen Cole. He is the summer board ambassador. Probably, I mean, I don't want to say this because it like sounds douchey, but he's probably the best summer board rider on the planet.
Oh my! I saw him at Eastgate Con just briefly before you tell him. I was going down the Vegas Strip, and I'm on doing 25, 30 on the bio board filming, and then I stop and I go, "Geez!" and he's doing like 360s at 30 miles an hour. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, he's wild.
Dude is a madman, and so it's been really cool to when I first hopped on that. It took me probably 3 or 4 riding sessions to actually learn how to ride it. But once it clicked, it was nice, and I could have fun. And I've tried the EUC. Those are cool. They're a lot of fun, but I see the danger in them. And it's like, now I'm getting older, and I got like the family stuff. I'm tired of breaking bones. I broke my hip. Probably one of the first times riding the prototype endurance. Totally my fault. Was not ready for how fast it was, and totally messed myself up on it. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in it's a good to ride all the P to be about all of them.
My wife keeps asking for an e-bike. She really wants a bike.
Yes.
She's not super comfortable on the boards, but she wants to go on rides with us, so she'll be able to keep up with us better on a bike. Yeah. We're trying to figure out which one to get her. We want to make sure it's got enough range and enough speed to join us on her full length rides. But anyways, yeah. So that's something I've been starting to do research on. But yeah, pretty much it.
Oh yeah. So like I said, one thing I like to say, he's talking about like one thing I really respected, but you guys are transparency with obviously your development along the way. I think that's really amicable. And James saying that he broke his hip on one of the prototypes, and it is a prototype because I've seen it. It's got crosshead screws on it. Prototype endurance boards, and I think it's really good that you guys are transparent on open honest and testing the products along the way. So I think it's really amicable that you guys are always testing the products yourself on yourselves.
We at this point we wouldn't sell anything that we wouldn't ride ourselves. So if we haven't ridden it, it doesn't end up in our shop. That's just our thing. Like, why sell it if you wouldn't ride it yourself? So I mean, there's certainly parts in our shop that I would choose over others, right? But still, we'd still tested them all. So for sure.
I think you guys have absolutely blown up in relation to kind of the evolution of what you're doing at the moment. Like, it's one thing I've said about the endurance from an outside looking in is any issue you have with the endurance, you can change. And that's the point of the board. So It's literally the perfect board for the demographic, because anything you've got an issue with, you can adapt and keeping it open.
There's no such thing as a perfect board because everybody's preferences are so different. So at the end of the day, I just build boards that I really like, because if I get stuck with them all, at least I like them, So everybody else, though, if they don't like the trucks, if they don't like the remote, just change them, because everything is all open. We use standardized connectors, we use standardized like spacing, pulleys, like all that is all like very community standardized. So it's like there's literally nothing really proprietary about our board at all, and that's why it's so awesome.
I really like the fact. I do feel like you've kind of got yourself into kind of slightly hard waters in a way with how open source it is, and I expand with that because everyone wants to do their own kind of concept on that as well. Do you think at some point with custom builds, which are amazing, like the evolution of like different, a good example is Eastgate Con, that all the endurances were slightly different in some way, but I know you guys do like collab elements on custom builds as well. Like I saw the most one you did recently publicly was the Stooge hybrid build, which was
that was pretty cool. Yeah, that customer, he's got board number 0, so he had the original. When we ordered our last sample of decks before our first production run, we ordered one extra one for him because he's an awesome guy. He would not leave us alone. He said, I want your very first board. I want your first board. I'm like, okay, bro, we will make you a pre-production model. It gives us another guy to test our board with. He loved his board, but then he has constantly made changes the entire way. So now the most recent iteration of his board is that he ditched our stock motors. He put on Reacher motors and Stooge trucks. We've got the truck extensions on there, and the thing is awesome. Like, the board rips. Like, it's really cool. But it's super interesting. Like, it seems like a common theme with our endurance owners is the moment they get it, they customize it, which is awesome. Like, so they all look different, which is kind of the point.
I think just like looking in from the outside, and I think that's what the biggest selling point of the board is you can make it yourself in many ways. I know we spoke briefly before the stream. Do you want to talk about the next? Because I feel like what's healthy about this as well. Two small questions. First one I'm going to ask is, do you reckon this is going to be the custom element for a duration of time as a manufacturer for a limited amount of time? And then when you kind of not mainstream, it's kind of bird thing, but kind of pumping out more and more, and the demand increases, the kind of, we're going to do this custom element, we're going to allow that options going forward. It's going to reduce because obviously you want to get the product out more and more.
Yeah. So right now, honestly, there's not a ton of options they can pick. I know all the boards look different. It's mostly because they get their boards and then they change them themselves. So really, our boards are going out relatively standard. Like, they all look pretty much the same on the way out, but then the moment they get them, they're tearing them apart. Like, they just want to change things up. They just want it to be their own custom thing. So I understand, like, as the volume increases, the ability to offer all these different options is just not there. Like, you have to somewhat standardize just to keep yourself ahead of, building to order is not sustainable. Right now, most of our boards are built to order, but we'd like to get to the point where we've got boards on the shelf ready to go. And the moment someone buys it, it goes out the door the same day. That's what we'd like. Right now, we have about a week, about a 1 week build time, which some people really like because they like the fact that, like, they like the idea that their board is being built specifically for them. It hasn't been sitting on the shelves for months or anything like that. But yeah, the customizations, it's a lot of fun. Like right now we're working on a 4-wheel drive one for a customer. We've never done it before, but he's like, I want you guys to just try it. I'm like, okay, dude. I'm like, all right, we'll do it. And it's coming out pretty good. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, as we grow, the customizations, I think the idea would be to give our customers the tools to customize it themselves. I don't think we'll be able to do the customizations as much moving forward, but I do think we'll be able to embrace the idea of customizing and give everybody all the tools they need to do it themselves.
Do you think that you could almost have, like, at that point, a MBoards Escape forum or build elements with just that element?
I mean, I think anything's possible. I think as we go, I think we'll just keep expanding in every, facet of the business. So I'd like to try to, the community is the reason why we exist. So I'd like to try to incorporate them as much as possible.
So James, for yourself, in the kind of, what is your kind of main role with like the MBoards kind of, what is your main role at MBoards as such?
My role is to provide inappropriate comedy to statements that may or may not get me sent to HR Weekly. And no, so I am shipping and handling for MBoards, and also I guess you could call me a bench tester. Pretty much when Mike and Jacob have an idea and they bring it to life, they slap it on a board and they say, all right, James, have fun. And so, which I love. I love that there is like that element to an e-skate company where it's like a couple people, one person had an idea and got with Mike, and then all of a sudden, a week later, we had the whole 3-link Stooge extension live, and you could buy them. And it was there's been the whole making new motor mounts, like making new EFD heat sinks, and doing the switch over to the Maker X DV6 Pro. I had that in my board, and Mike was like, look, I'm not too sure what this thing, I hear good things about it, but none of us have really tried it. So it's going in your board, dude. And see how it does. I was like, all right, let's get it. And let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much my role. And then also on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think the podcast is. I love watching like the podcasts when they come out. I think it's really great. I think just because the kind of reason why we did the live stream stuff, because I think sitting down the end of the day and watching something kind of like chatting about, and I think that's with EskateCon, that was one of the best elements, just kind of indulging in the community and that. Two things I want to say as well briefly. The whole customization element with free links and other builds as well. Is they give you the opportunity to kind of develop the products. I'm just going to mute you 1 second to get a bit of feedback. You get playing. I'll bring you back in 1 sec when the plane's gone by. But yeah, with the collaborations with like the Stooge builds and these other stuff, is it giving you the opportunity to kind of create new projects because of these request elements?
Yeah, like the Stooge one's a great example. Like, our buddy brought in a set of Stooge trucks, and he had this it's a funny story. Like, so we sell those 3-link extensions now. Literally right before we started selling those, I had probably 3 different people in 1 week reach out to us and say, hey man, these plates used to be available, they're no longer made, can you make them? I'm like, oh, I don't know, like I don't have the file, I don't have the dimensions. And I kid you not, 2 days later my buddy walks in with one. I'm like, no shit. So we then immediately like catted it up, and now we make them. So like it's nice to try to revive parts that aren't being made anymore, and bring them out to market. And really, we needed that part to make the Stooge setup work with our deck. So it worked out really well. Yeah, it's fun getting all these weird requests because it really opens our eyes to different possibilities and lets us know like, hey, this is a product you really need because people are trying to do this or that or whatever.
To kind of have an open-minded approach gives an opportunity to kind of give
I mean, because like what they need. If you get too tunnel vision on one single thing, then you're going to miss a lot of different thoughts and ideas that the community has. And a lot of time the community, they demand things that are outrageous that we can never bring to market, but a lot of times they do just ask simple things that are super easy to just add to a board, and those are the things you really want to we don't want to drop the ball on those.
So you said previously about your 4-wheel drive build. We talked about it briefly just now. So how's that working with the endurance? Like I said, I've got a lot of experience with 4-wheel drive builds, with the bio boards, stuff like that. How are you finding that as a demographic? How are you putting that into a board then?
So what's funny is this guy emailed us asking for a 4-wheel drive endurance. We're like, I don't know, dude. We're not sure if it'll fit. We're like, hold on, let us grab a deck. Let us grab something. I mean, yeah, I love the comments already. Let me grab some speed controllers. Let me see how this is going to fit. We realized that we have such a big open area for our ESC that if we were actually to turn the DV6 Pro sideways, we could fit 2 next to each other. So like yesterday, I finished milling out. This is like an adapter plate where you'd fit 2 DV6 Pros will go here, and then the entire thing will actually bolt to the single rear heatsink. So now, because our deck was only ever thought of as a 2-wheel drive board, we only have 1 heatsink cutout. But now this allows us to run both of the units on 1 heatsink, which, again, I believe all these heatsinks are way overkill for what we're doing anyways. It should work out really well. Again, this is just a one-off for right now. We're experimenting. If it works well, I do think we've got a recipe here that will make it to an end like product offering, but we have to just test it, make sure it really works, and make sure that the assembly process goes well. Like if we have to jerry rig this thing too much, it's never going to see the light of day. But if we can make it really refined and nice, I think it'll actually work out.
Yeah,
so there's been a lot.
That's the thing about the 4-wheel drive board is that you know what, like it's a cool concept, but we don't have like an assembly line and a warehouse in China that's like pumping these things out. You know, like it's Jacob, and then it's Joe, and then it goes to me, and then it's out the door. You know, well, there's also Mark before building batteries and everything, but like there's a whole process that goes into like building these boards. So the 4-wheel drive is a cool concept, but if it's not easy enough to build, then it's kind of like, can we really offer it?
That's the big thing, is I don't think people understand is how things are assembled is almost more important than what the actual thing is in itself. Because if it takes us 6 hours to build a board, we have to charge an unbelievable amount for it. It doesn't work that way. Like we have to get our boards to be pretty much built in under 2 hours. If it takes anything longer than that, it starts. For one, it just takes us too long to get them out the door each week, and 2, just the labor costs involved. We're just going to have trouble keeping up with overseas. But right now, I do think our board's actually doing very well compared to the price of overseas. So, you know, I think we've got a good recipe. But again, the 4-wheel drive thing, where it is a lot more expensive, so there will be better margin there. If it still takes us 3 times, 4 times as long to put the thing together, I don't know. It'll just depend.
So it's another one of those opportunities where collaborating with a customer and giving them that feedback is an opportunity to kind of expand on what you're offering already.
Right.
Yeah,
This customer wants it so badly. He's pretty much funding the research that it's going to take to get
that's exactly what I was going to say.
It is what it is. It's kind of nice.
That was driven by a customer. He hit up Mike and said, "I want to do this. How much?" And you know, Mike was like, "Well, realistically, after labor and parts and everything, it's going to be this much." And dude was like, "All right, cool. Don't care. Make it happen." And that's a good thing about MBoards, is that you can like get in touch with managers, with company owners, and be like, hey, look, dude, I love the board, but I kind of want to do something different. Can we do that? And 9 times out of 10, Mike or Jacob will look at each other and go, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, we'll try it.
I just want to say just one last thing and talk about the building element as well. And I think you mentioned, you know, on both you guys on the stream before, is that having MBoards as kind of like the Amazon of eSkate, and I think that's such a massive gap of the market, where if you can have a unity of all these different products and turn them into a standardized about compatibility and stuff like that, it's just going to be great. So next thing I want to say, James, this is on you. Like I said, me and the content guys fell in love with you over there. You're so helpful, so thank you so much for your help out there. It's amazing. But when are we going to... I'm going to push you a little bit there. When are we going to get the next installment of the channel I'm seeing? By the way, I am subscribed. This is on another tab. It doesn't work. I am, just so you know.
Hey.
Definitely am. I'm not signed in. Wait. Evidence. Yeah. I'm not signed in.
Right? Yeah. You guys keep asking me about. I just need to get a couple more ducks line, and it's really just a matter of getting on Amazon and getting a selfie stick ordered, and then getting a new camera. My GoPro that I have right now, the mic is done for, so the camera still works. I can still record stuff, but if I try to get any audio on it, it's all messed up, and so it's just, you know, now that I've got all my bills taken care of, and e-skate season is back in full swing, I'll have a little bit more money to invest in my channel, and once that gets invested, then the videos will be coming.
Maybe we need to get Mike to get you to feature some more of the board, because for me, as I said, this is a really good insight on on the board and the product, which is really great. So I'll skip that one. So, looking on that now. So, I think one thing, like for me, on watching the, your skill on that, there wasn't many double kingpin boards on the Pro League. Do you know what I mean? And you was repping hard.
I believe he may have been the only one. I want to say.
The only one that you could buy.
Yeah,
you
right?
could buy.
Yeah, that was my whole the thing with me and like when I make videos is that I've noticed that we have a good amount of people that can break stuff down, but with me having like Mike as not only a boss but as a best friend, I really get to understand why things work the way they do. And so I feel like people expect me to break things down a little bit more technically than other reviewers would, and that kind of makes my video process a little bit longer, because I go into how this does, what it does, why it does, and how to make it do other things. Like my BKB V2 review that I'm doing right now, I'm actually breaking down. I have like quite a bit of it filmed on my phone, but I just need to get more footage of me riding the board and showing people when I talk about what I talk about, and like compounds and why things are the way they are. And I think that these are like technical things that people need to talk about when it comes to e-skate and why we ride what we ride and what it does. Because we can talk about a Sunmate or a Hoda and a BKB, but why are they different? What makes them different?
That kind of pushes the kind of engineering side thing. I just want to highlight one thing here is about the amount. I'm looking inside things. Do you know what? I've got a dream of having a clear enclosure one day. I think we need it in the community.
Yes.
We have it in like kind of custom PC builds, clear LEDs, but it just shows you it's such. And I said this to you earlier, Mike, before you came on stream. It's like the kind of Doctor Who's TARDIS. Like, how is there this much space inside your enclosure?
It's crazy. Like, we designed our board. We knew we were going to fit a 12S8 in it. And then it all shook out and we were like, there is a lot of space in here. We actually believe we could fit a 14S8 in there with some creativity. We haven't done it yet, but it's something we'd like to explore. But yeah, damn, that's clean. Bro, I appreciate you, but you should see our PCB build now, because it's even cleaner than that. So it's really, really nice. Like I'm super thrilled with how our batteries are looking now. The other batteries are fine, totally fine, but the PCB ones are just a little bit cleaner, so I like it. But yeah, no, like the back section with the ESC is like, there's tons of space still. So that's really exciting, because there's a lot more room for activities for sure.
Loads of room.
It's very DIY friendly. Like people who want to add additional things, maybe they want a different BMS, maybe they want to add, anything else in there, they have room for it. So I see people store things. I wouldn't recommend it, but I've seen people store things in there. Like they'll put their skate tool in there. They'll do all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend putting that with electronics, but people do it, and like there's just that much room.
Plausibility, isn't it? But that's the thing. One thing, and I'll jump back on this now. Just bear 1 second. Let me just get onto that, and then jump back onto there. One thing I want to highlight is it's this, and I think I really like that. The versions and talking about the history and the evolution of the models. I think it's really good to see the evolution of what's happening with the boards throughout and what's changing between boards. And like I say, it's kind of controversial, because like I say, most companies will be like, we're not talking about anything. This never happened, so you never talk about it. But it's always this kind of looking on the next evolution.
We're kind of like, I feel like my train of thought with our board is like the Tesla model. Like there's not a new 2024 version coming. There's not, It's not like that. It's we will slowly improve each component when it's time to improve that component. So from month to month, you may get something a little bit better or different than the previous month, because we decided, this little plug here needs to be different. We're going to change the plug, or whatever it is. That's what we're going to do. When it's time to change it, we'll change it. We're not going to wait and update the whole thing all at once. We're just going to slowly and incrementally make the board better and better. So, there's no reason to wait for the next year. It'll just slowly get better over time. And that's what the Tesla model does. And that's what I like that. I like the idea of that.
That is a great model. for sure. If you look at our second endurance owner, and then you look at our most recent endurance owner, the deck will be exactly the same, but there will be itty bitty little reiterations. Like one dude will have a Stormcore, one dude will have a Maker X DV6 Pro, one dude will have one dude will have like the older motor mounts, and somebody will have like the brand new motor mounts. Same thing with like ESCs. We actually have, I think, 3 or 4 reiterations already of the endurance mic.
So one thing to note though is that we don't just jump back and forth willy-nilly between different components. Once we make a switch, that's the new standard moving forward. So like it's not going to be like, oh, I got a Stormcore today, I got a DV6 the other day. Like we went from Stormcores, now we're on DV6 Pros, and that'll be what it'll be for the foreseeable future, unless we make another upgrade. But yeah, that's how all the components run. So like eventually we switched from our Chinese-made motor mounts to our in-house made motor mounts. Same thing with our heat sinks. Like those are all made in-house now. Our batteries, we went from hand assembled, hand soldered together. Now we still hand make them, but now they're on a PCB. And that's, that I forget, that was like a month or 2 ago we did that. So yeah, like we make the switch for that one component, and then that's the new standard moving forward.
We've got a comment here from Craig Taylor. But he's saying, did you kind of realize that the kind of massive impact that EskateCon would have in the community?
No, dude, I did not expect it. Honestly, like I just figured it would be a fun weekend. I did not expect it to be like such an emotional experience for so many people. To the point where like it makes me emotional thinking about it, because it's just like it is insane how high on a pedestal that weekend is.
I think it's continuing as well. Just want to throw in that. It's, for me, I'm still repping my EskateCon top in my content, my videos and stuff like that. And like I said, I think, you guys, this relationship as well is amazing to me. Like, James picked me up with stimulants from the airport, had coffee and other things with him, which was great, and it was really great to kind of really just be absorbed by this passion, and that base. And you all had a massive impact, obviously, with yourself, Mike, kind of the idea of putting it together, and then James like pushing it to the max with like the representing on group rides and bringing everyone together. And some of those rides were yourself, some of them were Joe's, but just the impact as a team you guys had was just, and it was so seamless from the outside looking in as well.
Thank you. I can say we spent a lot of time on it, and there's still things I'd like to improve. It wasn't a perfect event, but it was a lot better than the first year, and I'm just super happy that everybody could come out and see it. I think next year is the year where it gets stupid large, because I think a lot of people were still like, well, I saw year 1, it was all right. I don't think I'm gonna go. Let me see how year 2 goes. Now I think everyone's seen year 2. I think they understand what it's all about, and I think people are gonna come out in just
it's gonna be
unbelievable numbers. So we'll see.
It's gonna be the make or break year. I feel like year 3 will be the one where it's like, all right, cool. Like I don't mean to say it like this, and I'm not saying that people don't take us seriously or take it seriously, but I feel like year 3 is gonna be where it's at, and people are like, all right, motherfuckers are serious. Gotcha. Duly noted.
Yeah, like I said, I agree. Like I said, I think it's really great for me personally. Like I said, I've been in the community for 4 or 5 years at this point, doing events, doing all these other things, and I think it's just really great. It was seamlessly run, and I think what was good as well, because the belief people had for you guys as a team. You had. I said it on my video for the Vegas Strip. It was like an all-star ride. Everyone who you've been watching or get involved in is there for that ride. So yeah, looking back at EskateCon, I think the racing was amazing. It was great to see, but I think that was such a small product of making like a not necessarily a reason, but like a kind of central focus of bringing everyone together in just a week of it.
Yeah, no, I'm super stoked. Like, I just have a lot of ideas, and I'm excited to see what it brings. But everyone can expect something at least better than last year, for sure.
I feel like that's pretty much our mission is me, Mike, and Jacob will sit there and go, all right, dude, how do we make Eastgate Con just a little bit better this year? As long as we make it just a little bit better this year than it was last year, we'll be all right. And we're not trying to like blow it out of the water every single year because, you know, you can only get so big so fast and do so many things, you know, well. So it's kind of like we just need to make sure that next year is just a little bit better than it was this year. And so far from the plans that we've already got drawn up on the whiteboard, and I'm pretty excited to see your guys' reactions for next year.
I can't even imagine. I think for me, my favorite element of Eastgate Con was when we was doing like behind the scenes stuff and doing like networking and talking.
Yeah,
you know, making everything real.
Yeah.
So one thing I was going to say, just to talk about builds and what now, thoughts on belt drive versus gear drive?
So I still like belts.
Yeah, we're belt gang.
The issue with gear drives is that it's not super easy to gear your everything properly. So like a lot of people still like that 2-in-1. Like that's a huge market still. So like for us, a 2-in-1 with gears just doesn't work because the gear ratio is either it's not right for one of your wheels, right? So it's either too fast or too slow for your street wheels or too fast or too slow for your AT wheels. And there's no real way so far to like make a perfect gear. There's no perfect gear ratio for both, right? So you have to have and that's for me, I would rather just pop off my pulleys and put a new set of pulleys on. It's a much different beast to open up your gear drives, to change gears out. Like that's not something you can just do really quick, like out on a ride if you wanted to. I've personally never once snapped a belt, so I still don't. That's not a problem for me. So I still really like belt driven. I think it's the most versatile, most customizable, and the big issue with gear drives for right now is that when you buy a gear drive from a company, you have to buy the parts for it from that company. If they no longer sell that part or they change the design or they go out of business, you have to buy an entire new set. And I don't like that. I think the belts, like you could get belts for our board or pulleys for our board from anywhere. And that's the best part. So anyways, I do think gear drives are very valid and they're very cool. And I still think we will still work on gear drives for our stuff, but I still prefer right now in 2023, still prefer belts.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's always like as you guys know, there's always the next thing people obviously want at all times. I just want to say just briefly on the Eastgate Con chat we were talking to it about before. The media guys, that was unreal how seamless that worked.
Yeah, they did a good job. Amped Electric did a great job covering everything. It was awesome to be able to share the event with a wider audience, people who weren't able to show up. We had people's families watching the race, watching them race. Like it was really cool.
One thing I was going to say is
did their thing.
One thing I was going to say. I don't know what the question to say. Oh yeah, one thing I said, you don't need to go into detail, but obviously last year was just about like cost versus price. I'm not asking to go for the outcome, but was it more successful this year to fund the event than it was the year before?
Yeah, so the year before we all worked for free. I think I bought dinner once, but like we did a lot of work for that one dinner, let me tell you. Everyone donated their time because they all wanted to see the event happen so badly that they were all okay with just not being paid. Like we ended up, I actually do believe we lost a little bit of money the first year. Not about the money, right? It's not, but what it is about is making a sustainable event that can happen every year. And with that, people got to get paid. So this year, everybody got paid. It was the best day. A Monday morning after cutting those fat payroll checks was awesome. Great feeling. So everybody got paid. Everybody, it was a sustainable event to the point where we could reinvest the money from this year. We'll get to do better, bigger and better things for next year. I think this year was much, much more successful. We have a lot more plans for next year on how to make it even more successful. And I have no complaints. I think it worked out really well. So
the merch was absolutely awesome for Eastgate Con. The standard was great with everything. I think one of the questions people might ask is how do they get themselves on a e-skate card going forward for next year?
That
Oh
is the
man,
question, dude.
I
That's
don't
the
know what we're
million-dollar
gonna do for
question.
that. We set ourselves a big precedent there because now the cards have to happen every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job, Mike.
So the plan, I think, is that anyone who had a card will continue to get a new card every year, their new iteration, and then we'll also add new people. Really, what it is, it's going to be other community members nominating other community members, because anyone who like messages us and says, "Hey, I want a card," it's like, well, that's take it for what it's worth. But it's like if we give everybody who asks a card, I will never be finished designing cards. So I think we'll have to do some sort of like nomination process or voting process or something like that. We have some time to figure that out, but we'll have to figure out how we decide, or some kind of rubric. I know for sure if you podium at EskateCon, you 100% you get a card. So that's just one. That's definitely if you podium, if you get first, second, or third in any of the classes, you get a card for sure. And otherwise, if you're a community member that's very involved, we try to give everybody a card. I know we missed a ton of people this year. It was more of a last minute thing. We just hurried up and got a list together.
I think you got a lot of the community.
We got a lot. We definitely get a lot, but I know there was a handful that slipped through the cracks, and it was really just because we had to get a list together in like 2 or 3 days, and then I had to just start designing it. And by then, it was just like I had to get them ordered. It was very not a planned thing, but I'm super happy we did it. But the playing card or the trading cards will be a staple of the convention moving forward, and we will have them every year for moving on. So it'll be it was a lot of fun. So I'm excited to do it again.
I was super honored to be put on mine, so thank you so much for that. I will say as well, just to not upset people, you should send them their one, because I've been playing catch up on some of the e-skate cards, sending them out. I've got a really interesting question here from the guys. Would you be interested in doing channel trucks? Like when you say build channel trucks.
Yeah, I think our lineup currently right now, we've kind of got our premium longboard 2-in-1 model. Then we're coming out with our Interstellar refresh pretty soon, which will be sub $2,000 board, like a more affordable board. Then I would like to do a mountain board of some sort that's more in line with the price of our endurance, but maybe a different form factor. I'd like to try to check off all of the different boards out there. They're really cheap boards, are really hard to compete with. Just China's China, and they do things really cheap, and it's hard to compete with those. But anything in the premium market, we can compete very well. That was just, we made a couple of those. That was a fun build. But if we do that style of board again, it'll be very much MBoards specific. We'll choose different parts. We'll choose different things. We probably won't use as many of the that boards. We pretty much pay retail for some of the gear drive stuff, and we won't do that. But that was just a couple boards we wanted to build. A few of those. We sold I think 2 or 3 of those. That was a good time. But otherwise, we'll redesign that whole thing from the ground up if we do a channel truck build. But it will happen eventually. It's just a matter of when.
The endless list of builds, basically. You have to prioritize what we're going through.
Exactly.
I was going to say as well, just a brief one, I just think it's really important to be mentioned. Obviously, we unfortunately lost one of our community guys from EskateCon, which I think was amazing. The fact that you was able to create an event that was one of the last things that he did and smash it on the thing. Is it something we could do as a potential shout out on the next year's event potentially?
I would like to somehow. I don't want to do anything that's in poor taste. I don't want to do anything that would be perceived as trying to use that as a marketing thing, or I don't. So I want to tread very lightly on that, but I do want to somehow memorialize him somehow next year. He'll have a card. But I would like to do something, but we're trying to figure out how to do it in a tasteful, respectful way. So we'll work on something. It'll be there, but I have no idea what to do right now. But we'll do something, and we'll talk to the team, and I'm sure we'll have something very nice for him. Anyways, it's heartbreaking for sure.
Yeah, he was a big help to this year, and he was there
helping set up the track. Unbelievable how much work he put in.
Yeah, he was there sweating and cutting his fingers and putting sand in the sandbags, like, you know,
taping
all
the
around
track
good.
together, like insane.
Yep.
What a good attitude. He showed up, volunteered for a slice of pizza. Like, it was just, he just wanted to be there, you know? It was
Pizza parties are powerful, aren't they?
Yeah, pizzas are very powerful, but he was there, and just for the love of the sport, he was just there, and it was just, it's such a shame to see stuff like that. But
yeah,
obviously you touched into the EUC element as well, which was gnarly, would be a way of describing it. But this will be one for James. Would you, obviously it's really hard to please everyone, especially with these events and being inclusive as possible, but would it be, do you reckon there'd be a chance doing a feature with like a one wheel event as well? It doesn't necessarily need to be, obviously Eastgate Con is the demographic it's for, and obviously time is you've only got so much time for the events to be held. Would you do like a one wheel element as well?
So this is something that me and the fellows have discussed actually at long. We've debated this many hours, many days. We have to make sure that we concentrate on Eastgate as it's Eastgate Con right now. We will start sprinkling other little things into Eastgate Con because we understand that Eastgate Con will grow. We can't just keep it electric skateboards because that keeps locked down to a certain extent. So as you notice, we kind of brought the EUCs in a little bit more this year. A little bit more next year. We want to bring the one wheels in because at the end of the day, technically one wheel is still an electric skateboard. It's patented as a self-balancing electric skateboard, but everybody doesn't look at it as an electric skateboard. But we want to make sure that when we bring the things into Eastgate Con, that they are in line with electric skateboards. And I feel like these, to a certain extent, are a lot of people that Eastgate ride EUCs, and a lot of people that ride EUCs Eastgate. It's kind of the same thing with one wheels, but the problem is that we have quite a few one wheel events, literally a couple weeks right after Eastgate Con, and so a lot of the pros and a lot of the up for Eastgate Con, they sit there and they ask themselves, can I spend this much money to go to Eastgate Con and then bring all my stuff there and then bring it back and then pack it up all again and take it to another event just a couple weeks later? Like, is it feasible? No, it's not for them. So we completely understand. We would love to see a lot more one wheel companies there. We have Wheels and Rides, who is a local one wheel dealership here in Las Vegas, and they've been there since year one, and I'm pretty sure that they'll be there every single year. They are a big time supporter of us, and so we want to make sure that we make sure that it is open to everything. But for right now, it will be primarily Eastgate with other things sprinkled in.
Yeah, our big thing is we actually had a little bit of pushback on the fact that the EUCs were even there at all. Yep. I think, I don't know, there's rhetoric that, and I don't know if it's really true or not. I really have to do some more connecting with the community, but there's this rhetoric that they feel that anytime there's any other PV there, that they'll steal from the Eastgate, they'll steal the people away from the Eastgate community. And I really don't feel that. I feel like there is some overlap. I know there's fear that there will be, that the e-bikes or one wheels or EUCs will like overrun Eastgate Con, and really we won't let that happen. The other PEVs will always make up 10% or less of all of the turnout of Eastgate Con. So out of all the vendors, 90% of them will still be Eastgate. I do think that there's a place and a place for the other businesses to show up because there's overlap. Like Mario, for example, I want to say second place, bro. Second, first.
He went down second, and then caught back up to come second.
Yeah, second. No, first was Morgan. Second, he rides both, and he kicks ass at both. And I just feel like it's nice to show off both. So I don't know. We're trying to figure that out. We want to navigate that properly, but I still think there's room for showcasing both. But Eastgate Con is still made for electric skateboards, so we will make sure that is our primary focus. 90% of everybody there will be for Eastgate, and then anything else is just kind of bonus.
Yep,
I think just featuring that as well. I just said there's a chat here. Would love to see a 4-wheel drive go-kart. We have actually in the UK.
Oh boy,
at eBay we do drift trikes with the Tramper guys on dirt. But off-road. I would the dream. I've always said this would be an amazing event of having a fully all-terrain event where you had dirt, pump track, tarmac, or it'd be the dream on one day. I don't know how you do it. But
maybe one hell of a location.
Thomas, you get us the money and we'll build it. Me and Mike
Yeah, money solves all the problems with event planning, man. If you have an event, if there's money, you can make it happen. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Eventually, like I said, the growth, the unbelievable success of ESETCon. For me as an outsider looking at what we only can see things from a perspective point of view. Who knows how far and how engaged it is? Because, like I said, ESETCon is amazing. It's almost like a small element of unifying everyone together, and that's what the tool is to do. And then it's just a week of just indulging with that. We've got about 5 minutes left, guys. I just want to say, if anyone else has got any last questions they want to do, please put them in. I'll give it to you guys each from if there's anything else you guys want to necessarily get off your chest or talk about or highlight, or anything you want to feature on the channel at all. So I'll go with you, James. Is there anything else you want to talk about on the stream for the last 5 minutes?
I could rant and rave about all sorts of things, but I would like to keep it nice and and professional at the end of the day, because I do represent MBoards. I think that how do I want to say this? You know what? Mike has taken a idea and a dream of his and made it a real thing. ESkateCon is going to be a big deal, but we still primarily want to make sure that it doesn't overshine MBoards. You know what I mean? It's MBoards is the company that is the dream, that is what it is, and without MBoards, ESkateCon wouldn't even exist. And so that's one thing that I always tell people, is that when they go and buy an electric skateboard, make sure that you do your research on your company. Make sure that you do your research on your customer service. And that is one good thing that Mike makes sure is about customer service. He wants to make sure that the customers can call him if they have questions pre-buy of the board, when they buy the board, after they buy the board, if they live in Las Vegas, even if you don't live in Las Vegas, if you live in the United States and you got something going on with your board, guess what? You can put it in your car and drive to Las Vegas, and
you sure can.
We'd appreciate it while you're on your way down here. But you can get your board fixed, and you can always get service not 24/7. I know we live in Las Vegas where this is
give me a break at some time, yeah.
But 5 days out of the week from 8 to 3 o'clock, you can get questions answered about your endurance or about other boards. That's one thing that we try to make sure that we're open to at MBoards, is that it's not just MBoards, it's everything. We work on, and we understand that a lot of people, when they buy our board, most of them are not first board owners. They're coming from other companies. And so, we understand that, and we have to make sure that that's incorporated in the business model and everything. So it's just, it's a blessing being able to be an e-skater and then find an e-skate company to work for. And then my boss goes ahead and makes ESkateCon. It's just, life is good, man. I'm blessed.
I just want to say that just one thing before I go on to you, Mike. Just say there's obviously a lot of love there between the relationship, which is great to see. And it's so it's not just a job; it's a lifestyle, as you can see. Just want to throw one question at you, James, before we go into Mike. You personally, I feel like with ESkateCon, it's kind of grounded the year. So once ESkateCon is done, we've got a new PEV lineup for the year. So what do you want as an individual between here and these next ESkateCon? Not for the event, but for you personally, what is your kind of goal? What you want for next year?
My goal is to get, I know it, I always say this, but my goal is to get systems in place around the shop that allows me to be a little bit more creative and with product development. So right now that my team is absolutely stunning and amazing, and they make my life so easy. At the same time, I think there's a lot of systems in place or systems that aren't in place that prevent everyone from being almost fully autonomous. And I'd really like to be able to allow my team to just streamline their workflow, so they're not relying so much on me, so I can work on those back projects they want me to work on, instead of running around and trying to assist a lot.
Mike.
It's a lot every day, and I love my team for it. But at the same time, there's a lot of systems that I'd like to get in place where automate as much as we can around the shop, so that way it frees up our time. Because our time is the only thing we really can't get more of. So, You know, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how many people you have working. If you don't have the time, you don't have the time. So like that's my biggest thing. So yeah, and I'm really appreciative because my team is like really pushing like Joe and Jacob and James and Martin and Maddie. They all have really good ideas and are all pushing the company forward. Not a single one of them I feel like are here for their own selfish reasons. They all want to see the business succeed, and I feel like that is so rare to find a team like that. And nowadays, everyone's just looking for their paycheck, which I get. Everyone's got bills, but at the same time, it's really hard to find a company or find people who just really care for the business they work for. And it's really, really nice to see it. But there are certain things I'd like to get our business a little more streamlined, for me personally. And yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know what because yeah, I mean, Eastgate Con is like the end of our year, really, and we start our Eastgate year. So it's kind of fun. So like I'd like to launch some new stuff at Eastgate Con next year. Yeah, I don't know,
Have
man.
the bamboo MBoard ready at that point.
Something, yeah.
Oh yeah, the Interstellar will be ready by then.
Interstellar will be out by then, yeah. That'll be out by so in theory it'll be out by Black Friday.
Yep.
So we'll see. Hopefully much sooner than that, but that's
They might go wooden deck and go knock on it.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put in the last couple of questions from the guys here. Just one from Craig here. Has there been you found a new location for Eastgate Con?
I'd like to be at the same spot. I think we've got some cool ideas. We can talk about it. We found like a legit company who has a real track they're going to bring out. That's about 2.5, 3 feet tall. Real race barriers, and what I'd like to do is do a bridge up and over the track so people can come inside. Because we lost a lot of square footage because of the inside of the track. I'd like to be able to have people be able to go up and over and hang out inside and actually have an official space inside for people to be. Whether that be just the racers kind of stage themselves in there, because like all the racers were staged all on the outside, and it was taking up a lot of space. So I'd like to get everybody maybe who are part of the race in the center and get them all in there, so we have plenty more room for vendors. And I think we'll actually probably make the track a tiny bit smaller next year. I think our track was very large, and I think we could do with a slightly smaller, well, maybe not smaller, but maybe just a different layout. I like to experiment with different layouts and stuff, but I would really like to do it in that same location. So we'll try to figure out how to make that happen. It's a perfect spot, right in the middle of downtown, tons of hotels. I just think it's a really good spot. I don't want people to have to drive or Uber everywhere. Anyways, we're gonna try and make that happen. There's only a certain amount of space we have in that location, but I do think with some creativity, we can make it work.
Cool. Okay, guys. Well, I also say thank you everyone who joined the stream today. It was a really great catch up with you guys. It's an absolute pleasure.
Anytime you can have us on anytime.
I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, definitely. And then the friends and family that we've grown across this community has been absolutely amazing. I just want to throw in, I'm going to start doing these live streams more and more. I really enjoy them. It's really kind of like networking everyone together.
Yeah.
For next week, nothing that's just yet. So I've actually got Jeffrey is going to be coming over.
Nice.
Jeffrey's going to come over. He's going to be repping over here. So we're going to get him in, just finalize it. Probably do the same kind of thing as of next week. But we're slightly over because it's been great. It's been really natural. It's really great. Absolute pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined, and thank you so much for joining the stream. So we'll just round up there. And thank you so much for watching, guys. You take care.
Yeah.
See you guys.